Thanks for tuning in with me today. Like I was just telling the folks over on Instagram, today is day number 4 in my Planetary Rescue series, and it's a 30-day challenge presented by my Launch Club group, which is a business coaching group that I belong to, and I just love. So if anybody out there from Launch Club is listening, a special hi to you guys. I really so appreciate everything that you offer me, and I hope that I can respond with the same kind of help to you. Hi, Elizabeth Petty. How you doing? I can see you out there. So, okay, day number 4. We're talking today about things that I like to do that have that are small changes we can make in our daily choices that have an impact in our environment. As you guys probably know, I'm a really die-hard, passionate textile recycler. I have started my business back in 1987, believe it or not. I was a student at Massachusetts College of Art and Design in Boston and was making things out of handmade felt. And I'm always really cold. So handmade felt in the winter in a dank, cold art studio made me really freezing cold. And because it's a wet process for anybody who doesn't know, it's like you use pressure and water and soap and you roll like sheep fleece layered together to kind of mat it together into a felt. And I loved the texture that I was getting from the process, but I didn't really enjoy the process all that much. So my dad was an artist, and quite notable actually. He was a ceramic artist from Ireland, and he said to me one day, "Why don't you use shrunk wool sweaters? You get the same kind of texture to make with, but you wouldn't have to do the making. You could just throw them in the washing machine and dryer." So that from that moment on, my dad and I spent a lot of time finding sweaters to buy and at like thrift stores, and that really started a whole kind of new genre. I think that over the years, through my teaching and my book that I've written and the work that I've made, I've really inspired a generation of people to use the process that I developed to make their own crafts. So that's pretty exciting. And just to backtrack a little bit, there's every day through December 29th, you'll find me right here live talking about all sorts of ways we can honor our life-giving environment by making impactful changes in our daily lives. And my focus on the series is really around the holidays. And so today we're talking about a bunch of different considerations that I use when gift giving. Is that cool? I think today we're going to talk about the handmade consideration. So there's actually 3 considerations that I kind of run through in my head as I'm thinking about gifts to give. And we're going to talk today about the handmade aspect, and tomorrow we'll go into the other 2. So there are, those are the criteria. So handmade, when I say handmade, I don't mean a trinket made by in some far off land by someone who was underpaid and had no connection to the actual making process or the design or the end use of whatever it is they made. There are a lot of things in the world, especially in our culture in the United States, where we can buy things that are handmade, but really it's not really helping the environment when we're thinking about buying things that are made, you know, halfway across the world by people who didn't get paid well, and who it kind of perpetuates the negativity in the whole handmade genre. So yes, it's important to employ people in places where work is hard to find, but that's a whole nother conversation. So today we're going to talk about buying handmade, and by that I mean locally handmade in your community. So that I'm encouraging for you to seek those wares and to visit things like your local craft fairs that are just prolific this time of year. In the Berkshires where I live, there's craft fairs like really every weekend. Some evenings people have open studios or whatever, and it's a really fun way to build value in your purchasing. So I'll have an open studio on December 18th at my studio up in Beckett, and I invite the public to come in and to see my process and to learn about what goes into each piece that I make. So we've talked a little bit about my textile recycling business. I also run a screen print business with my sister. Her name is Sophia Hughes, and that's a family business that my mom and dad founded in 1970, and that business is called the Dolphin Studio. So if you guys out there are interested, hi, Trish Harris, I can see you. Sorry for the interruption, but check out the Dolphin Studio. We screen print a beautiful calendar each year, and right now is our really super busy time for that. So while you're looking for your locally crafted and handmade products that you might be gift giving this season, you're supporting your neighbor, and by that you're supporting your community. And when I was kind of making some notes to get this episode, if you will, of my challenge underway, I was thinking about a customer that I had back in the day. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of history about how my life has gone. So back in 1987, like I said, I was an art student at Mass Art. And then 2 years after I graduated, I had 40 employees. And I went to I went to art school. And at the time, I had never taken a business class in my life. And my business doubled in revenue for the first 5 years I was in business. And I honestly had no idea. I never wrote a business plan. I had not a clue as to like how to roll with that kind of growth. And it was fun, and it sounds funny when I tell the story, but I kind of wish that I had a little bit more, well, I don't wish anything. I don't regret it. I just feel like I could have been more successful had I had a little bit more information about how to run a business. So here I am, I don't know, 30 years later, still doing kind of the same thing, but I have a really different spin. So I had 40 employees. I sold my wares at wholesale trade shows all across the country and also in Europe. And I supplied over 300 stores with handmade blankets, rugs, pillows, clothing accessories, clothing. We had a line of toys called Ragamuffins, which was actually my first product. And I sold to stores all over the place. And during that time, I had a handful of stores that sold a ton of my product. And I went to those stores and did trunk shows so that I would bring like special one-of-a-kind pieces and be there in person for a weekend or an evening or whatever, and meet their customers. And it was a great way for the store to kind of have a special presence of mine in their selling environment. And one of those stores was called Anya, and Anya is the Irish woman's name. It means Anne in English. It's spelled A-I-N-E, and I love that name. Anyway, Anya Britton was an Irish woman who had a store in Fairhaven, New Jersey, which is, I think, where Bruce Springsteen lives. So it's like super affluent, and she had this store, and she sold tons, like she was my number one retailer. So I went down to do a trunk show with her, and when I arrived, she had this tiny little store. Like her store was probably 1,200 square feet. And I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, Anya, how do you sell this volume of product from this tiny little storefront? Like I was blown away. And her whole spin was to really educate people. Everything she sold was handmade in the United States. And she was Irish, and I was born in Ireland, so we had that connection, which was super awesome. And her whole spin was to teach people that if you support makers in your community and in your local environs, then you are actually enabling your heritage to be built. And I never thought of that before. And actually, I've been thinking about that ever since she told me that. And it's been, God, 20 years anyway. And it's so true. Like if you are able to support with your purchasing dollars, your local makers, those makers are able to make a living doing a craft or a trade that otherwise might be lost. And in a lot of cultures across the world, that is happening. Those crafts and those ancient traditions are being lost for many different reasons, but we have a lot of power with our spending habits. So if we are able to support local makers and encourage their ability to make a living doing something that is a skill and a trade that they can pass on to their children or pass on to people who are inspired by their work, we are able to not only give a gift that's a really special, thoughtful, one-of-a-kind, beautifully crafted piece that is made probably with a lot of love. That's what I like to do with my work. We're also able to kind of preserve part of our culture and build our heritage. So for today, the takeaway I'd like to just share with you guys today. Hi, Lisa Marie. How you doing out there? Thanks so much for being with me, you guys. I'm really enjoying this series. So for today, I just want you to take away thinking about purchasing your gift giving this holiday by thinking about handmade. Tomorrow we're going to talk about thinking about recycled, and we're also going to talk about things that are not actually tangible goods. So we're going to talk about things where you can support a Patreon. You can give a gift of like I just got this beautiful card in the mail from some dear friends of mine that are from back in the day, and they sent me a card that said they actually my son passed away in July, so they sent me a card that said that they had purchased 5 trees that have been planted in like a national forest somewhere through the Arbor Day organization. So for I don't know what the cost is. I'll look into it and I'll talk to you guys more about that. But that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, where you can actually give a gift to somebody that's just a beautiful card that lets them know that you've made a decision to protect the environment or plant a tree or support an artist that you think that they would love to have a part of supporting by spending your money that way. So anyway, for today, take away the idea that there are beautiful handmade things in your local community that could be beautiful gifts for your friends and loved ones, and maybe for yourself. So indulge yourself and don't feel like you can't allow yourself to have that kind of enjoyment, because with thoughtful consumption, you can. So thanks for being here today. If you guys, we're going to do like a gift guide starting in the next couple of days. So if you guys have businesses that you think would fit into that kind of thing and would be a nice feature for us to all share here, please either direct message me, or also you can leave a comment in the field below, or whatever the comment, wherever the comments go. So have a great day. I'm gonna go get back outside and shovel the 15 inches of snow that landed in my front yard last night in Beckett. It's so beautiful, and it's so quiet and clean and gorgeous out there. So I hope all of you have a lovely day. Talk to you tomorrow. Again, live at 11. Back tomorrow.